Good morning. My name is Vijay Prakash Mishra, and we will be continuing with ordinal utility changes in consumer equilibrium. First, the budget line, which we have already seen. It represents the various combination of the two goods that the consumer can purchase given his money income. So the line BA is our budget line, where the y-intercept B is the money income divided by the price of commodity Y, and the x-intercept A is the money income M divided by the price of X. Now if you see, there are 3 points W, X and Y. Although the consumer may want all these 3 points or could choose either one of these 3 points, he can and will be able to choose W if he wishes to, because it is under the budget line. So all the points under the budget line is what the consumer can choose if he wishes to. He can also take the point X or choose the combination X because it is on the budget line. So everything which is on the budget line and below the budget line is within the consumer's affordability, and he will be able to choose this commodity. However, if you look at the point Y, it is way beyond the consumer's budget line, and even though he might want to choose that point because it gives him more amounts of good X and good Y, he will not be able to choose it because it is beyond the budget line. His budget constraint does not allow him to be on Y. Again, this is a relatively known concept which we've seen earlier. Though the consumer would like to be on the highest indifference curve, the budget line will decide the indifference curve he can actually achieve. So we had just looked at the budget line, and we'd also seen the indifference curve in the earlier lecture, which shows the points on the curve where the consumer receives the same level of satisfaction or utility, and the point where the two meet gives the point of equilibrium. Now let us look at the shift in the budget line. What would happen if there was a change in the money income of the consumer, or if there was a change in the price of the goods X and Y? The case first, the budget line will shift as a result of changes in the money income of the consumer, or in case of changes of the commodities, price of commodities X and Y. If there is a change in the money income, like in the first figure, then the budget line will parallelly shift outwards or inwards depending on whether there is increase in money income or decrease. If there is increase in money income, the budget line will shift outwards from AB to A-B'. If there is a fall in money income, the budget line will shift inwards from AB to A'. Now, in case there are changes in prices of goods X and Y, let's say there is a change in the price of good Y. Since there is no change in the price of good X, the x-intercept, which is B, remains the same. But if there is change in the price of good Y, if there is a fall in the price of good Y, the consumer will now be able to afford more, and therefore he can now be on A1. In case there is a increase in the price of good Y, then his real income will fall and he can now afford lesser than what he was able to earlier. Therefore, he will come down from A to A2. In the opposite case, in case if the price of Y remains the same and that of the price of good X changes, then if there is a fall in the price, there will be an increase in the real income, and the consumer will now be able to afford more than what he could earlier. Therefore, he would move from B to B1. In case there is increase in the price of good X, his real income would reduce and the budget line would pivot inwards from B to B2. So an increase in the price of goods causes the budget line to pivot inwards, either from A to A2 or from B to B2. If there is a fall in the prices, the budget line would pivot outwards from B to B1 and from A to A1. Now, what impact would it have on the equilibrium? Let's say that initially the consumer is at equilibrium at point A, where his money income is M, and the price of goods are Px and Py. Let us say for some reason there is an increase in his money income, which means the budget line would parallelly shift outwards. Now when there is increase in the budget line, although the combination at point A is within his reach, he would be better off at point B on a higher indifference curve than on at point A. So when there is increase in the money income of the consumer, the budget line would parallelly shift outwards and his equilibrium would now move from a lower indifference curve to a higher indifference curve indicated by the point B in our presentation, which means he can now have more of both the goods. In the other case, like we looked at the case of change in prices, if there is a change in the price of good Y, then the budget line would pivot outside in case of a decrease in price, and therefore the consumer would now be on a higher indifference curve where he would now have more of commodity Y as a result of decrease in price, and his consumption of commodity X would also increase, but by a smaller margin. Similarly, if there is a change in the price of commodity X, the budget line would pivot outwards and he would now be able to afford more of good X, and he might also increase his consumption of good Y. So the consumer equilibrium is going to be affected by the change in the money income of the consumer and the change in the price of the commodities X and commodities Y. Thank you.